Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome into Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Hayes, with my co-host, Matt Baker.
That's me.
You can find us at avgffpod.com. You can go there, click the buttons, go to the places we're at, give us a listen, or you can listen right there on the website. Either way, we take all the clicks and listens we can get our hands on. So the numbers have dropped drastically, I'm seeing. I know as people get knocked out of the playoffs and this becomes less and less important to them, they just fade away. I will say this, when I get knocked out of playoffs and it like upsets me, I'll quit listening just because, like, when I have no more fantasy teams left, I'll just quit listening because I'm so depressed for a minute.
It's just like, whatever.
I'll never forget, like, the Panthers lost the Super Bowl years ago, and I didn't listen to any sports for like 2 months. I was so like, anytime I heard anything about football, I immediately changed anything.
Just
I was
turn it off and go away. Yeah,
I didn't want anything to do it. So I get it. But we are happy for those of you who are still around. We're hoping you're still around for two reasons. One, because you like hearing our sultry, dulcet tones.
Yes,
hey,
that's
big boy.
And little boys too, if y'all are out there.
No, definitely not. He means in size.
Yeah,
strictly in size.
Strictly size. Like if you're like beneath 5'10".
Listen there, Sandusky. I need you to calm the fuck down.
Oh me, oh my.
And then, and two, because you're still fighting. You're still fighting the good fight.
Doing everything we can. Even if it means having a bye round the first round so you make it to the second round of playoffs. That's what I'm here for.
You earned that bye round.
That's what I did.
I will say that I have learned the secret of having playoffs, being in the playoffs, have enough teams that mathematically you're bound to still be around.
To make it somewhere, yeah.
I started the playoffs with 16 teams I was in. I'm still in 12, but 6 of those were first round buys. So I lost 4 of the 10 that I had to play this week, which I will admit, of those, the 4 that I lost, they were all fringe teams they were like, I barely got in the playoffs. This team's,
and one of them you won with was barely
absolutely.
a win, like just
2 of them I won with.
We're just
DC, 2 of them I
like
won
nickels
with.
And dimes is what you pulled out.
I played some good defense against Terrell in our home league. I'll give you, look, everybody in the playoffs was dropping $130 or more. And then me and Terrell didn't even break 120.
Yeah,
and I
put up 180 something.
I think I did actually break 120. I think I got like 121, and he got 114. So I ended up beating him by 7. And but his team on paper far superior to mine, but he just didn't have the week. So I rolled into the next week, and I'm going against the second best team throughout the season, who has been my oldest boy Matthew. His son's been the most dominant, but his wife, Emily, her team has been the second best team, and I did beat them earlier in the season. So, I've already got one of those wins in my belt.
You got a little.
I mean, the way my team plays defense, but I have adopted a new philosophy this season in that league, where I'm going ahead and I congratulate my opponent early in the week and let them know how appreciative I am that I am the team that they get to beat on their way to the next round of the playoffs. And I go ahead and I send them a little care package from Amazon to give them their congratulations, because, my team shouldn't be here and it shouldn't make it to the next round. And it's just an honor to be the one that they use as a stepping stone to get to the next place they're going to get to. And I'm just honored to be that stepping stone. So I want to go ahead and give them a pre-congratulations for what I believe to be an inevitable, beat down of my team. So, I told my son that just so, because she's going to be confused when she gets her Amazon package. She's going to think it's a Christmas present.
Hey.
It's these cookies that say congratulations on them. But
were they any good? Are they good cookies?
I have no idea. You have to ask Terrell because he got them last week.
Okay. I have to ask Terrell. We'll have to get him in on the show one day.
Yeah, we'll have to invite him in and see if he wants to sit in on the show. But yeah, so they worked for me last week. I hope it works for me this week. But and then I've got some teams that I expect to just go out there and absolutely dumpster roll who they're playing. They've been dominant all season, and if they don't win, I will be upset.
I will say this: all the matches I lost this week, my opponent had to score 174 points or more.
You made them earn it.
No, I didn't score. I only scored like 109 and 1 and 110. But they had to score 174 or more to win the game.
But you said they had to score 170. I thought you were insinuating
that's what they did. That's just what they did.
advance.
I'm just saying that's just what they did. They all scored 170 or more, and I'm over here like, there was one that I fought, and the other, but there was also like 3 or 4 of these that I wasn't supposed to be there, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I don't know how I made the playoffs, and I'm thankful that I did.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I did.
I shouldn't be there.
That's always a good thing, except in Dynasty.
Yeah.
I will say in Dynasty, my philosophy in Dynasty is either you're competing for the championship or you're rebuilding.
Well, and that's the thing is
on
one
different
of them,
levels.
I was rebuilding,
Right.
and I just happened to win
But now
enough.
it hurts your draft pick when you make it.
It does, but I've got everybody else's, so it doesn't really matter for next year.
That's a good point.
You see, I was already prepping for next year.
Undoubtedly, if I'm in that league with you, one of those is probably mine.
Oh, I think 2 of them are. But yeah, no, it's one of
Fuck
those
the
where
graphics.
I wasn't even gonna compete this year because I already had stacks on stacks for next year,
Right.
to kind of add to it, and I made playoffs. There was no reason for me to go either way. I just let it ride as it was.
There's a league that I'm in where I'm not technically in a rebuild, but I made some good deals, and I have my draft pick, and then I have like another first, and then I picked up a few seconds. And so as the season was progressing and my team wasn't performing the way that I thought they should, and I was like, I'm probably not going to make the playoffs. It was like I didn't have to really make that decision of, do I start the rebuild or don't I?
Yeah.
I can still push because I have enough draft picks
for next year.
For next pick,
and you can kind of build off.
But then I can just go ahead and just say commit to. I'm going to see how far I can get with this team. Now I didn't make the playoffs, so it didn't matter. But there is a little bit of. There's
like a middle
ground. Freedom.
There's like a middle ground when you
I'll
get
tell
to
you
a certain point.
Another bit of freedom is when you trade away your first round draft pick and then your team sucks, which I've done that as well.
Yeah.
And then so now you're stuck in a position where you don't have a first round draft pick and your team's not winning, but you're like, well, you know what? My only goal now is to make my draft pick as high as possible.
Yeah,
so that guy who got my draft pick's not rewarded.
He's not rewarded for making the trade
every
with you.
week. Then you're just like, I'm going to go out here and try to ruin my draft stock as much as possible.
And that's where knowing the waivers comes in handy. You need to know the waivers. You need to keep up on news and all that good stuff.
Speaking of news, let's go ahead and roll into that.
Yep. Man, there's like a half a second delay from the time you push the button to because I see you hit it and then all of a sudden it's like, when's it coming on? And then it comes on. So y'all don't know, but I see it. It's crazy.
We don't pause for dramatic effect.
No.
It's just how long it takes to kick in.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
All right, let's see. There's a chance Cousins will be benched. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that the head coach of the Falcons, Raheem Morris, I think he's playing the game right now where he's trying to motivate Cousins. He was asked, I'm going to paraphrase him saying, we didn't have great quarterback play, and it's going to be a process. We're going to be evaluating, and he did not commit to Cousins being the starter. I can't imagine with them still in the playoff hunt that they bench their $200 or $300 million quarterback who just got a win despite the fact that he played like regurgitated cat's ass.
And they got a pretty soft matchup next week too, right?
Yes,
they're playing the Giants or
they're
something.
They're playing the Giants this week.
It should be should be something where he can dip and dunk and hopefully still come out with a win.
So I think this is more of a psychological thing of him going, our quarterback played like crap, and he better get it together and because all reports are also that Penix is looking really good in practice. Yeah. And so, which based off of the way Cousins is looking, I could look good in practice compared to that. So, well, true. I don't know, but
I mean, well,
I wouldn't look worse.
Okay, so it'd be arguable. So we'd have to see like how you do on the
Which
field.
That in and of itself, the fact that it's even arguable,
it shouldn't be. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's where the problem ensues is the fact that we can argue a fact that you might be better than Kirk Cousins. So.
Now, I was under the impression that Mahomes was going to miss a week or two, but apparently he practiced in full today.
Well, they said I think it was one of those where it's like he would have practiced in full today because they said that because the way it was listed was that he was listed as a full participant in practice, but I don't know that he actually practiced.
No, they practiced because Hollywood Brown also practiced in full today.
Who's that?
Yeah. No, they didn't have a simulator. This wasn't a simulator. This is actual practice based off what I was reading. But it's a high ankle sprain, and so it's one of those. I've seen quarterbacks. I mean, there was one year where Carson Wentz, when he was with Jaguars. Wasn't he with? He was with Jaguars for a minute. You remember that?
Was he with the Jaguars? Carson Wentz was?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Jaguars. He played with 2 high ankle sprains.
Oh, I remember that. Was that with the Jaguars?
It wasn't with the Eagles because Doug Peterson went there, and then Trevor Lawrence got hurt. I believe. I feel I know he was in the South. He might have been with the Colts. That's what it was. I'm sorry.
It was the Colts. Yeah,
that's right.
That's where it was. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So when you said that, the Colts, it all makes sense.
I got the Doug Peterson because he's at the Jacksonville because he played for him in Philadelphia. That all got convoluted in my head. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Trevor would have had to be hurt for Wentz to play a whole season.
Yeah,
because that was when he crapped the bed when the Colts were trying to get in the playoffs.
Correct.
But he
played that whole season.
But he did, and there was at one point where he had 2 high ankle sprains and he still played. So sometimes at the quarterback position, generally with running backs and wide receivers, if they get it, they're at least out 2 to 3 weeks.
And if I'm not mistaken, he was better when he had the 2 high ankle sprains.
So either way, Mahomes is practicing in full, so that means he's going to play. They are still fighting for a first round bye. So George Pickens did not practice today, so you need to monitor that. He's still dealing with a hammy. I did mention, as I just mentioned a second ago, Hollywood Brown full practice day, so I expect him to be cleared and ready to go this week. So that's an interesting. Definitely wouldn't be starting him anywhere, but he has ability. You know, he is big playability. So
yes. We've seen flashes.
Well, Sincere McCormick is sincerely done for the season. It looks like he posted on his Instagram that he will see everybody next season. The Raiders haven't said anything official, but looks like it. So much for that whole idea that he could be something. And I would just like to apologize for my part in pushing that narrative because I really thought that he could, he had some explosiveness. We were looking for something. You always look for that diamond in the rough. So get off my back.
Yeah, definitely.
Mason Rudolph to start. Aiden O'Connell looks like he's going to return. Dorian Thompson Robinson is Dorian Thompson Robinson? Is that right?
Yes. DTR, yes.
DTR with Cleveland's going to start. Winston has been benched. Rattler to start. Derek Carr most likely not going to come back this season. Geno Smith is dealing with a knee, so you need to keep an eye on that. They said it's not as serious as they first thought, but he is still day-to-day, so he could potentially miss a week. You need to keep an eye on that. DeAndre Swift's been dealing with a bunch of injuries here of late, mainly his growing injury, and every time it seems like he's not going to be there, and then he shows up and gets 20 carries. So I expect him to play. But
it sounds like his career, really. Yeah. I mean, it's always an injury, shoulder, growing, knee. Yeah.
And then this is interesting just because it's going to hurt Stone Smart. Hayden Hurst is back at practice, and I expect if Hayden Hurst comes back, he will become the de facto starter. I'm probably going to fade the entire tight end position for them if he is back.
Especially this week, at least, to see what's happened. Because he was...
I mean, Smart is the more athletic, I think, more explosive player, but, there's so much that a tight end is supposed to do in the blocking game, the pass blocking, run blocking, and things like that.
Hurst might get more field time just in general. Right. That could take away from Smart, even if it doesn't take away from targets.
Right, and so that's why you see a lot of these guys that you've never heard of get paid crap tons of money at the tight end position.
Yep.
So that's the main gist of the news. Of course, I talked about last night. Just Dave Montgomery out for the season. So
Chubb's out for the season.
He broke his foot. Montgomery has a torn MCL, and then a sprained. Someone sprained their MCL. That might have been that's a high ankle sprain. I'm trying to think. I talked about it last night. I don't have my notes from last night. Somebody went out of the game. They're week to week with a sprained MCL. So
remember that.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Kamara.
Yes, there it is. Kamara with a sprained MCL.
That kind of hinges on part of my smash for this week, I think.
Yeah,
or not smash, Baker's bottom. So
yes, that's it.
Boom.
Tyler Higbee back to the pup, but that doesn't
Damn,
matter.
I'm good.
I'm glad you remember because I would have had to scroll for 20 years.
I was like rolling through my mind injuries that had happened and that affected me. I mean, he had a good game before he went out, so don't get me wrong. Like, I would have loved him to have more, but at the same time, I don't get mad at my fantasy players when they put up 18 and then leave with an injury, or even if they get benched. I get mad when they score 6 and get benched. So that's when I'm mad. And we will talk about that.
Yes. Go ahead and hit whatever you is to go to fuck that guy. I think it's like the gun cock.
We've got so many
it's the gun
different.
Cock. I think it's the gun cock. I don't know what it's labeled as. I wish we could relabel these.
I would love that because when I look at this, I try to read through it, and it's like I know this one.
There it is.
Yeah. But I thought there was one that was like, FBI, open
up! I don't even know why that applies to it, but it somehow does.
It's something.
All right, we did not split these up, so
I'm sure I've got just as many as you do. So.
Oh, I want to kick it off with one that's very personal. Now, it did not cost me a win, but it almost did. Thankfully, I'll give 2. So the 2, I'm not going to give the other one because that one's personal to you.
Oh, I'm fixing to give some personal.
So Brock Purdy, bro, holy cow, you look like Mr. Irrelevant out there. I mean, just horrendous. You were underthrowing the ball. I mean, did it die already? Like, dude.
Something happened.
I mean, now, granted, you did hit Debo right in the chest, and we'll talk about him. Matter of fact, we're going to bring Debo up.
Multiple times.
You did hit, but there was one that would have been a long touchdown, and he completely dropped it. He ran off the field to the bench with his hands in the air. He should have just kept going and got on the fucking bus, taking Purdy with him. It would have been the 49ers might have won the game if both of them would have just left.
Yep.
But Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuel, you guys are killing. You killed people's fantasy hopes and dreams, and it wasn't. It was like each of you in your own individual way sucked dirty ass.
True.
And so I just want to say to both of you, and as personal as I can in a fantasy sense, it's not so personal that I dislike you as a person, but I dislike you as a fantasy player right now. So to Brock Purdy and to Deebo Samuel, fuck those guys.
And to be just as personal, maybe even a little, this might affect me ever drafting him again. Like, this is one of those scenarios, and it's not even, and I will say that had the league been more standard with interceptions, I would have probably not been as bad off. But in a -4 per interception, which is a little high, but it does make people rethink and draft differently.
Yes.
Either way, Tua got me -1.9.
Yeah.
And I lost the match by 0.9.
This is your -4 point per interception.
So it is a little askew. Don't get me wrong.
Out there what Will Levis got. Not you, but scored that week.
Will Levis scored -11.37 in this league.
Mighty dude.
And so yes, interceptions are the worst thing to happen. A fumble is less. A fumble is only -2. Dude. Overall. But if you throw a pick in this league, you might as well be on the bench. Because I could have played Aiden O'Connell this week, who didn't play, and I would have won.
You could have played Tim Boyle.
I could have played Tim Boyle. I could have played Mac Jones.
You could have played you at quarterback.
I could have went in as quarterback. I could have left it empty, and I would have won this week. I could have played no quarterback at all, and I would have won the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, God.
But no, Tua had to go out there and throw all the balls to the defense and cost me my first round win. So and
real quick before we do that, so I had Brock Purdy who put up 5 points. My opponent, who I ended up beating by less than a point, had Tua who put up 5.8.
So Tua did do
only because of Tua. Tua helped me.
Yeah,
in that
Tua
sense,
did help you
because he had Goff on the bench. He put up a nice cold 60
point. Yeah, 60.08. I think it was.
Had he played Goff, he would have beat me to death.
He could have benched 2 of his wide receivers and still beat you.
And so I don't personally have an issue with Tua's performance because it only saved me.
It hurt bad.
But for the sake of my opponent, I'll join in on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so I don't even I want to do like really mean, but I don't want to be mean.
Just like so, I'm just put a little growl. I'm in your
just
voice.
gonna
just put a little growl in there. just be like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I hope that worked out. Yeah,
that felt a little bit better.
That felt better. Better. Okay.
All right. Well, let's head over to the running back scene. I'm sorry. I wrote Chubb on here. My bad, Chubb. No, that's Chuba. Sorry.
He should definitely be on there. I got him on there too. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we'll go ahead and kick it off. Chuba, you were the only show in town at running back, homie.
Yes.
And I get it. Bryce Young, who should be on this list but doesn't rate to be on this list, he reverted back to his garbage can ways.
Back to the young of old.
Yeah. And because of that, they could not play off of the run, and therefore you did not get a ton of usage. So I get all that, but even with the usage you got, it wasn't very good.
Nope.
And so you were part of the reason why they were pressed to do what they had to do. And then I want to give we'll throw in there Jonathan Taylor for 2 reasons. Number one, you only put up 8.6 fantasy points, but had you scored the touchdown, you would have had 14.6.
And what do you mean missing right now?
Actually, you would have had 16.6 because the reason you didn't score the touchdown is because you dropped the fucking ball before you crossed the fucking goal line. And I cannot, for the life of me, grasp in my mind how this is still something that happens in like collegiate even, but much less professional sports.
Yeah.
Like it's a line and then there's, I think, 17 yards.
You run all the way through.
You have at least 17 yards into the end zone or something like that. You have all this room to run into, and then you can do whatever you want with the football. You can throw it in the stands. You can spike it on the ground. You can just drop it. You can give it to your mom. You can hand it to a kid. You can take it with you to the sidelines. You can rock it like a baby. You can pretend you're opening it up and pouring a drink for all your buddies to take a shot.
Just do whatever you want to do.
You can set them all up like bowling pins and roll it at them, and then act like they can all act like they fall.
We're going to be here forever if you try to go through all the touchdown celebrations.
I'm just saying you can put it on the ground and act like it's a little baby, and then act like you're changing his diaper, give it a little wipe, put a new diaper on, and then hand it.
Well, not without being fined, you can't.
Yeah, but you can still do all that. But one thing you can't do if you want the touchdown to count is drop the ball before you cross the fucking goal line. That is just it's idiotic. It's stupid. It's dumb. There's no other way to put it. It's not an accident. There's no accidents are things that are like you drop your food off of a plate, or you tilt a cup too far and you spill it. Dropping a football, that's just idiotic and stupid and dumb, like I just said. So
yes.
Yeah, so to Jonathan Taylor, we're going to set that. We're going to do this one just for you, and it's not even because you didn't put up that many fantasy points because they were there. You had them. It's because you were a moron.
Yep.
And so to that, I'll say, fuck that guy. And then to Chuba Hubbard for just having a bad week, we'll say, fuck that guy.
And I'm going to just close out. I got 3 big guys that everybody who made playoffs more than likely had on their team and should have scored more points than they did. Joe Mixon, 8.1 points. Derrick Henry, 6.7 points. And Saquon Barkley, 8.4 points. Dudes, you carried us here on your back, on your shoulders.
Yes.
And then you went and sat on the bench and watched our team just fall apart and just burn in the wreckage.
Yes.
And I'm sure there was beer involved.
I'm so glad the team that I got here with Barkley, hopefully if you had these guys, they were so good in the regular season, they got you the bye.
You got the bye? Oh, no.
And
Trust
you were
me,
able to ride the bye with them crapping their pants.
I knew, something told me in my heart that Justice Hill was going to have a week and they were going to limit Henry or something. I just thought, and it happened. I was like, there's no way it's really going to happen, but it happened. And I was so upset. I was so sad. But they cost you a win.
Henry was my lock of the week in DFS.
I tell you, those are the three big guys that literally carried us through the season and got us to where we are in this playoffs. And then they went, you know what? Fuck you. And they told us fuck those guys before the match, during the match.
In fairness to Barkley, he did get a little banged up. He did leave the game and he came back.
He did.
And in fairness to Mixon, he also got a little banged up and left the game and came back. And neither one of them were 100% when they came back. So I will cut them a little bit of slack. And then I'm cutting Derrick Henry slack because I don't ever want him to know that I've ever said anything negative about him.
Yeah,
because I don't want him to murder me.
That's true. He could. One stiff arm would probably end most of my life.
If he pretended to stiff arm me.
Yeah. If there was a conversation about him potentially stiff arming me, I would probably feel it and be injured for a long period of time.
Through the grapevine that Derrick Henry was looking for me so that he could stiff arm me, it would end me because I would just end myself.
Yeah, it would be done. I would also move to the mountains and hide in the hills.
No, don't do that because that's where he thrives. He's a Yeti.
But these three guys, big names, big roster guys, these are guys that's supposed to get you 10, 12, 15, 20 points, 100 points, whatever, and they did not even come close.
Nope.
So for that reason, and for that reason alone, not because you're not cool people.
Yeah, just because you sucked.
Because you sucked this week and hurt us.
Yep.
In our time of need.
In our time of playoff need.
Yes. Fuck those guys.
All right. I'm going to hit these. I got 4 quarterbacks. I'm just going to run through them real quick. And really, this guy shouldn't even be on here, but he is just because I know that people played him. Keith Cousins, 6.5. Dude, you're old busted, man. It's time for to shut it down. Move on. Go spend your money and
Dunzo.
Do whatever it is you do in your life. Stafford. It was a bad week, homie. I'm not going to say you're old busted, but you're on your way there. 8.2. Kyler Murray, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know how much of it's the play calling, the coaching, whatever it is. It's not good.
Nope.
10.1, and then CJ Stroud, we called it. He doesn't have to pass, and so he's come back to earth. He isn't that star that apparently he's not that guy. So 10.6. So yeah, to Kink, Stafford, Kyler, and Stroud.
Fuck those guys. And I only had one other quarterback just because it's playoff week.
Yes.
And you're on a high-powered offense.
Okay.
And you've been having some really big weeks. You were QB's top 5 a bunch of weeks this season.
I have a feeling I know who it is.
Mr. Samuel Darnold.
Oh, Samuel.
Yeah, Samuel Darnold.
They still got that dub, though, didn't
12.2.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this isn't like all on him. Because he got you 12 points, but it's still like, I want to say it was like QB 12 or 13 on the week. And it's just, it should have been a plus matchup, and he should have walked out with 25 points, in my opinion.
And I'll throw an honorary in there. I don't know what he scored, but I know it wasn't good. Bo Nix.
Yeah, Bo Nix had 15 points. It was like 14.9, I think.
Yeah, so he's salvaging an okay week.
It wasn't terrible. I kind of passed over him because as much
I generally if it's above like 12, I don't fuck with him.
And that's Darnold was like at that cusp at 12, and I'm like, it's a playoff week.
Yeah,
I
get it. Playoff week, yes, we do need to change the standards in playoff week.
A little bit, just kind of
12 don't cut it,
especially if they've carried you this far. If you've had Darnold in your starting lineup, you haven't been mad very many times, and for him to get you into playoff week and then all of a sudden just shit on your team.
Because I had Herbert, and he got me 14.8, and I barely got it.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's where, to me, like in playoff week, we should cut it off at like 15 points.
Yeah.
Or 14 points, somewhere in that cusp. But 12.2 isn't going to cut it, Darnold. We need you a little better than that in this playoff week.
Absolutely.
And all stuff.
So yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to hit these last 3 running backs because then we'll run through these wide receivers and tight ends. Najee Harris, 2.6. You've been riding you, dude. You've been the volume king, and then you just crapped your pants.
I did not go far enough down to get to him. I saw Warren, and I skipped over both of them because I was like,
Warren only got 2. But,
it was
Tyrone Tracy. You only had 4.
4 points. That hurt.
A lot of that's to do with your offense sucking, but still.
And the fact that they were running Singletary half the time out there.
Pacheco, 5.2. Dude, I thought you were getting ready to come back and be the old guy, but apparently you're still nursing something because you blew ass.
It's done.
So Harris, Tracy, and Pacheco, fuck those guys. All right, let me hit. Let's go ahead and hit this one guy, Cooper Kupp, a big fat fucking 0. Cooper killed. He killed. Like, imagine if you were playing Tua, Cooper Kupp, and Debo in your lineup with Derrick Henry, and say you were lucky to have Joe Mixon too,
or even Tyrone Tracy,
you would have been feeling pretty good to that week started.
Oh yeah,
and then you would have been punching air at the end of the week as you're getting eliminated.
Yes, all the air.
So yeah, Cooper Kupp, fuck that guy.
Yeah,
you got
exactly.
What do you got on your list? You got any more under there?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple wide receivers if we want to talk about it. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
4.2.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
4.6. And this is even on the back of Waddle missing half the game, went out with an injury and didn't come out. You were the guy, the only guy, and it didn't happen for you.
The guy. He's old. He's
washed.
I don't think he's washed. I ain't saying he's washed, but I'm saying he's on his way.
He's about washed. So he's like pre-rinse right now.
Could be. I mean, it doesn't help when your quarterback's throwing it to the other team, but still.
That's very true. And I put this guy's is strictly because I need you to have big games so you can finish in the top 14 or top 12. Like I said, but Zay Flowers got you 8.4 on a 35 point. They scored 35 points in that game. They had a big game.
I would have loved to get 8.4 because he got almost double what DK Metcalf got at 4.3.
He definitely did.
And Tank Dell, who I needed to do something at 5.1.
5.1. Tank Dell.
So throw them two in there with your wide receivers.
All those wide receivers from us here at Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast.
Fuck those guys. All right, I'm going to hit these tight ends.
You got 25 of them?
No, I've only got 5.
Okay.
Brock Bowers, 5 points. That's 2 weeks in a row, homie.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, you have been living on FTG this season. You're in contention for the fuck you. I'm going to be honest with you. Kate Otten, 3.4.
Yep.
Jake Ferguson's.
Fergalicious.
Nope, not this week. 3.3.
Yep.
And then Tucker Kraft, 4.4.
Yep.
So those 5, those were hurting some fantasy teams out there.
I had a bunch of names on here, and that was all of them. And I thought it was more than that, but it was only those 5. So yeah.
Yeah. So to those 5 tight ends, I'm going to give a hearty fuck those guys.
Fuck them.
All right, and from there we'll talk about some top performers.
Right, in comparison to Tua, I was a top performer.
Yes.
Well, not in a regular league, but
in comparison to Cooper Kupp, I was. If he's a top performer, I'm a top performer.
We are all top performers. Yes.
I don't ever let that play long enough to get the stuff pulled up, so I'm always still trying.
Scrambling. That's why I try to talk some shit, and then you get into the shit talking, and then it sets you back even more.
I get distracted again.
That's how we work this out, man. Just an average ADD podcast.
All right, here we go.
Just saying.
So after we just talked about the guys who killed fantasy teams, let's talk about some guys who won fantasy teams. Josh motherfucking Allen, dude. 2 weeks in a row, this guy is just out there lighting it up. He is a man amongst boys.
If he doesn't get MVP this year, I don't know what people are looking like. Don't get me wrong.
I found out today that he gets $3.5 million incentive in his contract
if he gets MVP,
or $3 million, 3 or 3.5 if he wins the MVP. Congrats on that bonus.
I'm going to say Lamar Jackson is killing it out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to take anything away from him. Jared Goff is killing it out there. Saquon Barkley is killing it out there. But none of y'all are doing what Josh Allen is doing.
Josh Allen, I don't even know about the weeks before. I just know in the last 2 weeks, he's had 5 passing and 5 rushing touchdowns.
If you take that into...
That's 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
No, go 3 weeks. Go 3 weeks back. I want to say it's 15 total touchdowns, including his receiving touchdown. Because he had 2 passing.
So the last 3 weeks, he has 7 passing.
Yep.
And he has 6 rushing in the last...
That's 13, and 1 receiving.
Oh, that's right.
And 1 receiving. He's got 14 touchdowns. And you know how many interceptions he's got?
Hold on. Let me count them up. Let's see. He has the same amount of interceptions in the last 3 weeks as Cooper Kupp scored fantasy points this last week.
Also, how many turnovers he's got total this season?
I have no... well, I can tell you his interceptions this season, he has 1 less. Oh, no. He has the same amount of interceptions for the entire season that Brock Purdy scored in fantasy points last week.
What?
5.
Is that crazy or what?
Yes.
He's had 1 fumble and 5 interceptions this whole year.
So 6.
He's turned the ball over 6 times.
Just a little bit more than what Tua scored in fantasy last
barely.
week.
And it's insane to think that he's putting these numbers up and he might not win MVP.
Here's his in a 4-point league.
Oh, passing touchdowns?
Yeah, passing touchdown.
Yep.
Not counting out of the bye. He scored 28 out of the bye. We're not even counting that.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about the last 2 weeks. He's put up 51.88 and 41.26.
Man.
So,
I'm telling you.
And you know what's even crazier is I got knocked out of the playoffs with Josh Allen.
What?
Yeah, because the rest of my team was garbage.
Yeah, no, that's this guy is out here just breaking. He's setting records.
Yeah, he's
like, not even breaking them. He's setting records.
When Peyton Manning was at his peak, I was talking to somebody, I can't remember, and they're like, Peyton Manning is so good right now that if they created a league that was higher than the NFL, he would be the number 1 overall pick.
Wow.
And I can tell you right now that Josh Allen is playing so well right now that if they created a league above that league, that's one league above the NFL, he would be a number 1 overall pick in that league.
It's insane. He's wrecking things right now.
Jared Goff also was wrecking things in that game.
Big game.
And this is just to show you, this gives you a glimpse of what Detroit's offense is truly capable of when pushed. You know, you think about all the bad weeks that Goff's had in these wins. Well, that's because they haven't had to pass the ball and do what he did. And this last game, he threw for 494 yards and 5 passing touchdowns. Oh, sorry. I had to take my glasses off so I can actually see what I'm looking at. And he put up 40 fantasy points. But so he had a great game, but it was a great game because he was being pushed by the GOAT, Josh Allen.
Yes. The other team pushed him.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson also had a great game, 290 yards and 5 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, just
it's crazy when you have a week where you do that and
still finish third.
Yeah, and still finish third. He also, he only had 6 rushing, but you know,
we know who's on his fuck that guy list right now, and it's these other 2 guys above him.
It's especially Josh Allen, because if Josh Allen wasn't doing what he's doing, then Lamar will be a shoo-in for MVP.
That's true.
Aaron Rodgers getting back to his old ways. He 289 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. They finally got on the winning side of things.
We'll talk about him a little bit too when we talk about our toast and roast.
Okay. Baker Mayfield getting back in the swing, 288 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, hey, got the ball finally to his dude, A.J. Brown. They were out there dancing together, trying to, I think some of that was for show because all the murmurs coming out about their relationship.
Devontae too.
Devontae got involved. But either way, I was glad to see it. So maybe they're starting to get that sorted out. Jaden Daniels, 228 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He also rushed for 11 yards. Mac Jones out there.
Who?
Yeah. Mac Jones, 294 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He was out there, strutting around like he was the big dog, but they still caught that L against the Jets. Joe Burrow, 271 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. I mean, he's got to go out there and sling it because it's the only way they can win games. Jordan Love, 229 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Drake May, 202 yards and 1 passing touchdown. And Cooper Rush in the top 12 this week, 214 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. We'll talk a little bit more about him later as well. Running backs, James Conner. I didn't see a ton of this game. For some reason, they didn't show a lot of it on
Red Zone.
He
had a couple big runs out of nowhere, just boom.
Right, and maybe I fell asleep. I don't know. I was dozing a little bit, but I was like, man, James Conner had a good game, and I didn't remember seeing his 2 touchdowns and stuff. But he had 110 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he had 5 receptions as well. They changed how they set this up. Like, I have to scroll. Oh, there's the receiving yards. All right, 28.
Yeah, 28.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's 28 receiving yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 31 rushing, 83 receiving, 1 touchdown, 1 receiving. He's about to be a league-winning.
Yeah, this is going to be low numbers for the next upcoming weeks.
Because I expect Craig Reynolds to be used, but he's not going to come in like Montgomery did. Jameer's about to be the workhorse for that team.
At least next week. Yeah. At least this next week.
It is a smash.
This is going to be it's a good matchup, and I'm sure they're shooting to try to get the bye and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, but it's definitely going to be a big game this next week.
James Cook, the RB3 on the week, 105 rushing, 28 receiving, 2 touchdowns. Chase Brown, man, this guy is on a heater as well. He's just doing what he does.
RB11 on the season right now. That's good for not starting the first 3 or 4 weeks.
We were big on him before the season, especially you. So 97 rush yards, 16 receiving, 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. Tajay Spears had to come in after Tony Pollard got hurt. All his work was mainly on receiving. He had 87 receiving yards And he did get a rushing touchdown. He had 5 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown. Josh Jacobs, this guy also on a bit of a heater. He is just, this whole offense is predicated on him right now. It's 94 rushing yards, 42 receiving, and a tud. Aaron Jones looked great.
Finally had a really good game.
86 rushing, 20 receiving, and a tud. Jerome Ford came in and looked pretty good. I think he's going to be a really good play this week. We'll talk more about him. 84 rushing, 20 receiving, and a rushing touchdown. Amir Abdullah, after McCormick went out, Amir Abdullah came in and he was catching screens and dump offs.
Definitely a pass catcher.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But he got a receiving touchdown. And then when you talked earlier about Justice Hill, he was also getting involved in that passing game. 61 yards receiving and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara got hurt, only played 45% of the snaps, but he still had 58 yards receiving, still had a pretty decent game for you out there, got him a receiving touchdown. Then that, I'll be honest with you, that catch he made for that receiving touchdown was one of the best catches of the season. It was insane. Rico Dowdle had 149 yards rushing, didn't get a touchdown, but it had a lot of volume. It was against Carolina. I mean, I could probably get at least 60 yards against Carolina. Ty Johnson, this is the oddest one to me. And Baker had to step out. The only reason I mention it is just because it's Ty Johnson. But he caught 5 receptions for 114 yards. But these weren't like running back receptions where you just throw it over the middle. These were like down the sideline.
4 were 20-plus yards.
Yeah, down the sideline, over the shoulder, wide receiver type plays. And I'm like, what the hell? And then Amari Cooper didn't even get targeted this game.
I watched a video of them in practice and everything, and they were running Ty Johnson out on the wide outside and running him out and all this stuff. And I'm like, I didn't think he was that fast, like that quick to get off the line like that.
He's their best wide receiver last game.
It's crazy. Like he literally had 4 20-plus yard catches in that game, and he had a big game.
Bijan, another great game, 125 yards rushing, 10 receiving, no tuds. And then Zach Charbonnet in relief had a pretty decent game, 54 rushing, 12 receiving, and a touchdown. And then Bucky Irvin in limited work, 44% of the snaps. This guy's also dealing with some being banged up, but he still had 114 yards rushing. So just wanted to mention that.
Because he's the man.
He is the man.
That guy is the man.
Yeah, he's their best player besides Mike Evans, in my opinion.
Yes.
On that offense. Devontae Adams just rewinding the clock a little bit and is like, just showing that he's still got something in the tank. 9 receptions, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. This guy came out of nowhere to win some games of people who didn't expect to win games. And then Mike Evans, 9 receptions, 159 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's trying to keep pace, just couldn't quite get there. Amon-Ra St. Brown said, "Here, hold my beer." 14 receptions, 193 yards, and 1 touchdown. Brian Thomas might be this season the best rookie receiver.
I think so.
10 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And that's with Mac Jones as your quarterback.
Yeah, who?
So that Mac Jones, just wanted to point that out because that does make a little bit of a difference.
That is true. Actually, Mac Jones played better this last game than I think
Trevor Lawrence
has played all season.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin, 7 receptions, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Him and Jaden Daniels got some sweet
music. They got it
music.
figured out, yeah.
Devonta Smith, you mentioned earlier, getting involved, 11 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown.
Big game.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb getting back in the mix, 9 receptions, 116 yards, and a tud. Rashad Bateman, I brought it up. I told you how the Giants were against the deep pass. They're very weak against it, and it paid off. He only caught 3 receptions, but it was for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. So if you played him, that worked out great for you. We talked about A.J. Brown getting back in the mix. Him and Jalen apparently repairing some stuff in their relationship, or if there was anything there to begin with. But 8 receptions, 110 yards, and a tud. Malik Neighbors finally had a competent quarterback in Boyle come in and get him the ball. 10 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown.
Oh, man, there's so much. That joke is so deep.
Jalen Coker was kind of a surprise, and I'm a Panther fan, but this dude might be legit. He is definitely their deep threat, but he had 4 receptions, 110 yards, and caught a great touchdown. Romeo Dobbs had 2 touchdowns. It was only on 3 receptions, 40 yards, but it still got it done. Let's see. T. Higgins, 5 receptions, 88 yards, and a tud. Had a good week out there. Keenan Allen, talking about rolling back the clock. This dude just always finds a way to be open. 6 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And then Justin Jefferson, 7 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Xavier Worthy, I want to mention that just because he had 11 targets, which was odd. But he had 6 receptions, 46 yards of those 11 targets.
If you throw it to him enough, he'll eventually get fantasy points.
He also ran the ball
3 times.
Yeah, and he had a rushing touchdown, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, he did.
Because that's where his points came from.
Yeah, 3 for 30 and a TED.
Yeah, and Jerry Jeudy, 11 receptions, 108. With DTR coming in, he's probably the only receiver I'm willing to throw out there. All right, Jonnu Smith in the tight ends. He is just become
talking about rolling back the clock.
Yeah, this dude's he isn't the tight end 1 on the season yet, but he is the tight end 4, and he came out of nowhere to do it in the last few weeks. I mean, if you go look at his game log
since week 7,
up to
8, week 5,
week 5, he was doo-doo. Yep. They had a bye week, and since the bye week, he has been
money.
He has been
just about.
Yeah, he's had 3 weeks where he wasn't. He had a tight end 1, and then 3 weeks he was trash, and he's been in the 2, 3, 3, 5, 1.
And I mean, that tight end 5 against the Jets was all in OT on the shoulder of 3 passes.
Exactly. But he's making a case for fantasy MVP. If he continues this through the playoffs, he could be.
Because a lot of people were sleeping on Jonnu. Going, it doesn't. Whatever he said, it doesn't matter. But
Sam Laporta getting in the mix this week, getting back involved. 7 receptions, 111 yards. Trey McBride still no touchdowns, but still getting all the targets.
9
they had 10 of them, caught 9 with 87. They tried to give him a little inside underhand pitch pass to get him a touchdown. He got shut down. So I feel like they're going to be working hard to get him some touchdowns. So that could pay off great for you here in the last couple of weeks. Brenton Strange.
We're going to be talking about him too.
11 receptions for 73 yards on 12 targets. He didn't get a lot from it, but I mean, in a PPR league, that's great.
73 yards out of 11.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No.
I mean, it's not great for, but it's still not bad.
Josh Wall, well, I mean, most people get 11 receptions. You should have at least 100 yards, but.
But.
Josh Wall, 5 receptions, 37 yards, but he got the touchdown.
Who?
Exactly. Foster Moreau, 4 receptions, 39 yards, but he got a tud. And that's basically all that's worth mentioning in the tight end landscape. So from there, I should mention, but we're doing both shows in one, so we're going to go over an hour a little bit, but we're going to hit that toast or roast. I think you got something for that over there. Yeah, I think it's that one right there. The surprise motherfucker. I don't know why it's that.
Surprise mother.
Maybe.
What the dog doing?
All right. Well, we can go ahead and kick it off. We'll go back to the streamers. Let's see. My streamers last week, I'll just run through them real quick. Bryce Young against Dallas finishes QB 20. He got you 12 points, so that wasn't very good. Conklin at Jacksonville, he was out for personal reasons, so that doesn't really count.
Yep.
And then my call of the week was Kansas City at Cleveland. Finished as the number 1 defense with 23 points.
Oh, nice. My defense was the Falcons. They finished as number 4.
Yeah, that was a great call as well.
21 points. Tight end, Tyler Conklin.
We both had that.
Both out for personal. And then my QB was Aaron Rodgers, QB 6 on the week.
Nice.
30 points.
Yeah, you smashed that.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
All right, my don'ts. I nailed on this one. Oh, first of all, let's go ahead and give for our defenses.
Oh, yeah.
And for your quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
And then for my quarterback. All right, I want to catch up on all that.
Yes.
All right, so back to the cheers. Russell Wilson was my don't, and he finished as QB 7.4 points. So I hope you listened there.
Yep.
And then I said, don't play any Cleveland running backs. And I was right on one of them, and I was wrong on the other. Chubb went out of the game. He only had 1.1 fantasy points. Ford, on the other hand, ended up with 17.4, was RB8. So I give a.
He had a hell of a run. That one run was it like 46 yards or something like that? Yeah, it's pretty nice.
All right, how'd you do in your bottoms?
First one was Sean Tucker, and that was kind of hinging on Bucky Irving not playing, and he did play. So Sean Tucker only
Yeah, we ain't gonna count that.
1.7 points.
Yeah, if Bucky was there, then Sean. We knew Sean. You would have never said Sean if you.
I felt like he wasn't going to play.
Earlier in the week, reports were he wasn't going to play.
So yeah, but either way, Mike Williams only 12%. He did not do anything based on Russell Wilson. Got you 2 points. But then Daniel Bellinger, he's tight end 20, but he got you 5 points.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll take it.
Had you played him instead of Brock Bowers, you would have got the same points. I mean, I'm just saying. I just wanted to say,
if you had a super flex and you played him instead of
Tua,
then you got the same amount of points as Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Or if you played him over Cooper Kupp, you'd have got five times as many points.
Well, 5 times 0 is still 0.
So
you would have got 5 more.
You would have got 5 more
points than what Cooper Kupp scored. So I mean, not the worst, but not the best either.
Yeah. How many plus ones is that?
That's 5 plus ones over the 0 that Cooper didn't score.
Okay. All right.
No, but that's all. It was Sean Tucker, Mike Williams, and Daniel Bellinger. So
all right. Well, let's hit these smashes. I'll go ahead. Herbert versus Tampa is definitely not a smash, but I don't think it's a full boost. So I'd give a little bit of a. He was QB 17. He had 14.8 fantasy points. I had Brian Robinson versus the Saints. He was RB 14. So I don't think I give a little bit of. Same thing with Garrett Wilson. He was wide receiver. I was like middle. I was like
right in the middle.
I was just average. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was wide receiver 24 with 13.1. And then my tight end was Hawkinson, who was tight end 14 with 7.7. So, so I'm not taking a full L, but they definitely weren't smashes.
All right. So this is going to be a full L.
Okay.
Give it to me. Start now. Do it again. Do it in one more time.
One more? Okay, so this is a 3.
Yeah, because the team.
It must be Tua.
No, it's just as worse.
It must be Purdy.
No, I went with Jameson Winston. I thought the matchup was going to be good. Keep going. Because my tight end didn't even play, but I thought he was going to. He was trending in the right direction, but he ended up not, which was Njoku, which would have been that kind of matchup. But either way, so Njoku was out. So I didn't get either of those. Wahs all day long. But on the plus side, Rico Dowdle, RB12.
Nope.
14.9 points. Not a bad, like a little over the middle, but a little, not the top.
I'll give you a cheers.
We'll toast
I think this is the first real toast besides our defenses.
Yeah, that's true.
In your streaming quarterback.
Well, get ready for this one because I said Terry McLaurin was my smash. Wide receiver 5 on the week.
Oh, okay.
At 22.8 points.
Yeah.
So those were my 2 smashes that did good, which kind of, if you averaged everything, I'm in the middle, and your whole average
is in the middle.
All your guys are in the middle. Half of mine are at the top, and half are in the bottom. So,
all right. Well, while we're here.
That's how we work it.
Instead of, actually, I think I skipped over some stuff.
What did we skip? Because that should be
So that's toast or roast. Yeah. So next is Monday Night Football. I'm just going to say it was lame.
Yeah, it was pretty lame.
Both games garbage. There wasn't a lot really to talk about.
It wasn't much to talk about at all. There was I didn't watch any of them, but I did keep up with it. Some people scored some points. Some people didn't.
If you were way behind in your leagues, then you lost. If you were fighting and you were kind of in the mix and you had some of the key players, maybe you got to win.
Aaron Jones. I had Aaron Jones. I had Drake London. Drake London didn't have a great game, but he got a decent game.
A 30-yard tud.
Yeah, he got like
I needed
14
one more
game.
fucking catch out of him to win in your league.
And Aaron Jones had a hell of a game. He had like 19 points. He had a good game. But outside of that, you name any other big name that was in this? I mean, even Jefferson had a game.
Yeah.
Not a great game, but he had a game. It's like 20 points.
Addison had a game.
And so that
Bijan had a good game.
They used Bijan, because he had a lot. They were ahead the whole game just about. So Bijan got used a lot. So, but yeah, other than that, there wasn't anything flashy, nothing special about it really. So,
all right, well, let's go ahead and hit on the bottoms.
Bottoms. What's a power bottom?
A power bottom is a bottom that is capable of receiving an enormous amount of power. Actually, Mac, you got it backwards. You see, a power bottom is actually generating all the power by doing most of the work.
Does the power have to do with the size or the strength of the bottom?
Now, Dennis, I've heard that speed has something to do with it. Speed has everything to do with it. You see, the speed of the bottom informs the top how much pressure he's supposed to apply. Speed's the name of the game.
Right, buddy?
Yes, I guess so. All right, so I got a special edition playoff Baker's Bottom.
Yes.
Which means...
let me go ahead and give a disclaimer. I'll give a disclaimer for both things. So with the bottoms and the don'ts, we're going to kind of change our philosophy because we can't draw any real hard line. Nobody's trying to find anybody that's 5% unowned unless you're looking for a cuff. If somebody gets injured, maybe go dig up somebody that's 5. But generally, when you're in the playoffs, those bottoms, even in deeper leagues, they're not helping you. If you're trying to play, I don't know, if you're like trying to like Tim Patrick is the play of the week. For me, then I don't even know if Tim Patrick's a good example, but you know what I'm saying? Like, what were your bottoms last week? Your bottoms were
Sean Tucker, Mike Williams, and Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah, and see those 3 guys. If you were dependent on playing
and 3%, so
if you were dependent on any of those guys in your lineup last week, then you're not playing this week. And so we're going to kind of change the mindset of the bottoms. The bottoms are going to be more of guys that normally wouldn't start, but maybe they got a matchup or somebody got hurt or there's somebody that maybe you can go out there and get them. I mean, maybe they are barely owned, but it would be because of, whatever. And then with don'ts, it's not really going to be a hard don't. It's going to be, these are people I'm worried about, and here's people I would play over them.
Yeah.
Type deal. So anyway, go ahead with your don't.
So this one is going to be extremely robust, as I'm going to give 2 of each position this time.
Okay.
And they're both, I'll tell you the percentage they're owned and why I feel like these are people you should target.
Okay. I like it.
Kendre Miller playing against Green Bay, owned in 16% of leagues, but they're against Green Bay. It's a decent matchup. And if Kamara does miss next week, even if he doesn't, he's limited.
He's a smash.
If he misses, he's a smash. But if he's limited, I still think this guy's going to get work. Because
you look at you may have these stats, and if I'm stepping on what you're saying,
no, go.
Last 2 weeks, he started week 14. He comes straight off the IR, 26% of the snaps, but he got 10 carries for 32 yards, and he got a touchdown.
Yep.
And then last week he was playing 47% of the snaps. He got 5 carries for 46 yards. He had over a 5-yard average. And then this week against Green Bay, which is a plus matchup for the run.
Had they not been so far behind to where when Kamara did leave, they had to throw the ball, I think his usage would have been twice that.
Yes.
He would have had 10 carries in that 46% instead of the 5. Right. So, I mean, I feel like if he starts this game in any kind of, start fashion, he's going to be a smash play.
And if you lost, Montgomery last week,
or if you have Kamara.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, there's a good chance if you have Kamara, you can grab Kendre Miller right now in hopes that, if something does come across the wire in time, you can throw this guy in.
Hopefully you listen to us and you should be grabbing your cuffs anyway.
Exactly. And then the next one is Amir Abdullah. And he's owned in 20% of leagues. But anytime they start shifting around, if we know McCormick's going to miss.
When their game script is we got to throw the ball every pass, we can't run, Amir Abdullah is
involved.
Smash.
He is definitely involved. And as it stands right now, they're not winning any games, so they're going to be playing from behind. They're going to throw the ball.
Well, they're playing, is it Tampa this week?
They are playing Jacksonville this week. Yeah. So they got
So when you got Mac Jones,
on the other side of the ball, put it down,
around,
So I mean, these are both guys owned in 20% or less leagues and could potentially get you a good flex play, in plus matchups. So I think either one of these guys could go good for you.
I like it.
Wide receiver wise, Jalen Coker owned in 4% of leagues. He comes back this last week. It didn't matter what Adam Thielen's done. Coker's the dude for them. I mean, he had 4 targets. He had 6 targets, 4 receptions, 110 yards, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
And the touchdown. But I think that there's something there with Bryce and Coker, because since Bryce has come back after Dalton was benched or in his car accident, Coker's kind of been that guy to Bryce.
He's their down the field play, and also not Keon Coleman. Jesus Christ, Leggett may not play this week.
Leggett is questionable. He had what's his injury?
I think it's a shoulder, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I saw the questionable tag. I just didn't go with it. But 4% of leagues owned right now, and they're playing Arizona. And Arizona's not super tough, but not super easy either. But I think it's going to be they're tough enough to where they're going to create enough to where they're going to have to throw the ball.
Right.
No matter how you look at it. And Coker's going to get used. And then Tim Patrick. You brought him up. 6% owned. They're playing against Chicago. Chicago's going to give it up to him.
Well, if you go look and I only brought Tim Patrick up as the first thing popped in my head, but
last 2 weeks,
I'm actually going to be playing him over Debo this week.
Last 2 weeks, he's had 7+ targets. He's getting targeted in the red zone.
Yes.
He's got a touchdown both weeks.
Yep.
This guy is a pivotal part. It's kind of took a backseat to JMO a little bit.
Yes.
But I mean, and even Amon-Ra weeks in here and there, but it's not like it's affecting the red zone, not the targets.
He's become more of their possession receiver. JMO's still their big play guy. It's just that if he doesn't, it's like Bateman or anybody of these other big play guys. If you don't hit on
it's going to be a week to week kind of thing.
And so but yeah, he's the guy that Goff really trusts on those, this 8, 9, 10-yard outs to get first downs or whatever, move the sticks.
So definitely looking at Jalen Coker and Tim Patrick this week as far as Baker's bottoms, and that's 4% and 6% owned. Those are really low.
Yes.
And then tight end wise, go get Brenton Strange.
He's gonna get targets.
11 targets this last week with Mac Jones. With Evan Ingram out for the season, this guy could potentially, in my opinion, be a league winner. I think as much as he's getting targeted, even when Evan Ingram was out earlier with T-Law in, he was still getting 7 and 8 targets.
Do you know how old Strange is?
25 or 26?
Neither.
How old is he?
23.
Is he that young? I thought he was 25. Oh, wow.
No, he is 23.
So, dude's a kid.
And if you're in Dynasty.
He's a child.
Look, I'm going to tell you, if you're in Dynasty, go get this guy.
Yeah, definitely grab this guy. Roster him, even if he doesn't do anything, but still you need to hold it. Because he's shined in times without Ingram. He has been playable.
I just assumed he was like Durham Smythe. He'd been in the league for 6 or 7 years. He was
I thought he was like 25 years old.
He was
like
a pass blocking tight end who only gets used like this when the main guy goes out. I didn't realize he was a young guy. I think he's only in his first year, and he could be a receiving back.
Yeah, he could definitely be a tight end. A tight end that you could roster for times to come. Yeah, exactly. But go grab him. He, in my opinion, is the best available.
Yeah,
only
absolutely.
7%. And they're playing the Raiders next week.
Gal Katera, I'd throw in as an honorable mention, too, just if he's still out there in leagues, just because he's the only show in town for a pretty high-powered offense, but it's still going to be hit or miss. I would take Strange over him in a heartbeat.
He had a pretty weak week this last week, with being the only guy, which is why my next bottom, Daniel Bellinger, even as he was my bottom last week, I still think I hold true to that. Either Boyle or Locke is going to start this next week. We don't know who, because I don't think DeVito is going to come out of concussion protocol in this week. If Locke starts, I've already seen Bellinger getting hyper targeted for their offense, anyways. And if Boyle starts, I think he's still going to rely a little bit on Bellinger and stuff. He's owned in 4% of leagues. They're playing the Falcons. If they're going to make this game in any way close, it's going to be on the shoulders of somebody that can catch the ball. So I think Bellinger's going to be involved. So there you go. You got Kendre Miller, Amir Abdullah, Jalen Coker, Tim Patrick, and then Brenton Strange and Daniel Bellinger.
All right. I like it. Let's hit these don'ts.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That was me getting knocked out of the playoffs.
I love that stuff. I just watched that episode like night before last. It's one of those like you just turn on to go to sleep kind of deal. And when he goes back there to find out Toby's back, oh my God!
They're like,
I know it's
Toby's
coming.
back. He's like, he's not bad.
No, he's not bad. Oh, good joke,
good
Jim.
joke. Yeah.
Man, like I know what's coming, and I still can't help but just smile and love it.
His hatred for Toby is literally one of the best.
It's one of the best parts of that whole show. It really is.
He's like, I hate so much about the things you choose to be. It's one of my favorite things that anyone's ever said, because there's so many times I want to say that to somebody.
When they're handing out bonuses and stuff and putting beans on their face, they're like, who is this? And he drew like a troll. Like, oh, that's Toby. Well, he doesn't get, I just wanted to draw his face.
This is just an average The Office podcast.
Oh, man, I can go for days.
Oh, God,
man.
we could absolutely do that.
Yeah, we can work that out.
All right, my don'ts are, like I said, these are guys that I'm worried about. And then I'll give you some guys that I would potentially play over them. The first one is, and this is my hardest one of the week, and maybe you can give me some insight. Jaden Daniels is playing the Eagles, and the Eagles are difficult. And if you look here, when Jaden Daniels played him the last time, he did not do very good. And I'm trying to figure out how many fantasy points I got to go up here. He had -8 fantasy points above expectation, which means I know he had more than -8.
He was QB 24. He scored 14.4 fantasy points,
and so I was looking at above expectations. But
I got you.
And so the last time 14.4 fantasy points. It was one of Jaden's worst weeks, and so I'm worried about it in the playoffs. But they're just coming out of a game where they were dominant again. It seems like they got a little bit of their mojo back. They're clicking again on offense. So Jaden Daniels to me is one of those. It's going to take big balls to play these other guys that I'm going to mention that you can probably find on waivers. Cooper Rush was playing against Tampa. I think Cooper Rush, he had almost 18 fantasy points his last week. He's not going to go out there and put up 30, but he could be somebody if you're just looking for a solid floor against Tampa, who's horrendous, then you could probably get away with throwing Cooper Rush out there and him getting you 18 to 19 fantasy points. The problem is that Daniels could go out there and score you 25 fantasy points. I don't think Cooper Rush has that ability.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, also having a good matchup this week against the Rams, could go out there and get you, 20 fantasy points, and you feel pretty solid. And then the riskiest of them all would be to play Drake May this week, but he does have a good matchup against the Bills, who in the last 2 weeks against the Rams, they gave up 23.8 fantasy points to quarterback. And then last week, they gave up 44.1 fantasy points to the quarterback. And so what happens is the way Josh Allen is playing right now and the amount of points they score, they force the other team to just throw the shit out of the ball.
They have to.
I just don't know if Drake May has the ability to have a good fantasy week if you make him throw the ball 48 times in a game. And so that's why it's risky. But the risk-reward factor is if you're looking for upside, May could match Daniels' upside in this game. I would say Daniels against Philadelphia is more likely to have a good game than May versus New England. Versus the Bills. But again, New England doesn't have anything to play for except to try to keep the Bills from getting the number 1 seed. And so maybe they go out there and they just put all their nuts on the table and see what happens.
It's crazy.
So May is a huge upside, but a huge risk. He could go out there and get you 8 fucking points, and he could go out there and throw 4 picks in this game as well.
This is one of those
because they're going to have to pass the whole fucking game.
This is one of those where it's like, I need upside to make playoffs. I'm already in playoffs. I need to take this chance. I need
upside to take another shot. My thing is with Jaden Daniels, I'm scared. I have Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, I've been riding him in like 3 or 4 different leagues. I'm most likely going to stay with him because in my heart, it's like, if I bench him for Cooper Rush and then I end up losing and Jaden Daniels drops 30 on my bench and Cooper Rush puts up 20 for me, he did exactly what I wanted him to do, but I end up losing by 8.
The upside,
and so but again, Daniels could go out there and put up 14 like he did.
I saw a thing today when I was reading through all this shit I read everywhere, but it made a lot of sense. Here's how I feel you should look at it. You play whoever you would be least upset if they don't do what you expect. So, like, if you play Jaden Daniels, knowing he's only going to get you 15 to 20, and he gets you 15 to 20, you'll be fine.
Right.
But if you play Drake May, assuming he might get you 30 and he gets you 8.
I have the same instance.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
here's the thing. It wouldn't have mattered because I lost by 70.
Yeah.
But
same.
I benched. This is one of those where you just outthink yourself.
Yeah.
After his percentages going down and him not doing good, I benched James Cook.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this. And I played
Sincere McCormick.
Yeah.
Now again, I lost by 70.
Yeah.
So had I lost because of this, because of this, it would have haunted me
to the day.
It would have haunted me to the day I die because I would have always looked back and said, "What idiot benches James Cook for Sincere McCormick?" Yeah. And I was trying. I knew I needed upside. I was like 60-point underdog, or no, maybe not that much, but I was at least a 40-point underdog.
Yeah.
Going into the week, so I knew that I was playing against the number 2 seed.
You were playing the team
as the last seed.
Yeah.
And I knew, so I needed all the upside, and I was worried about James Cook, and I did something dumb. And it didn't bite me, but had it bit me. And so, I have learned that lesson, which is why I'll probably ride with Daniels.
You got to be willing to, like I said, whoever's going to upset you less if they don't do what you expect. And that's where it is. If I put like I told you earlier, I swapped out Tony Pollard to put in Aaron Jones, and had Aaron Jones scored 10 and Pollard scored 15, I wouldn't have been mad.
Right.
Because like I thought Aaron Jones was going to do 15 or 20. The fact he scored 10 is what it is. But if I'd have put Pollard in and left Pollard in, he scored me 8 when I felt that he was going to do better, I would have been pissed.
Right.
But the fact I went with it worked out. But you want to be less upset about the person you put in.
Well, and the other side of the coin is, and this is what these other two guys I'm about to talk about will be. The other side of the coin is what happened last week in my opponent in that league. We were just talking about where I had Purdy and he had Tua. So he keeps, like he was in the chat. Shout out John if you listen to the podcast, John Moore. But by the way, I don't know if you realize this, but in your name on Sleeper Tua Dog, you misspelled Tua. You spell it Tua is Tua. You spelled it Tau.
I didn't want to say anything, but
it's Tau Dog. I
thought it was I figured it was because he had so many concussions. He didn't know how to spell his name.
I was trying to tag him today, and I was like, "Why is it not tagging when I type TU?" But anyway, the point I'm getting at is he's upset because he benched Goff and he played Tua. Well, if you look back before the week, Tua was coming off being the number one quarterback in the last 4 weeks. He was on a heater. Their offense was on a heater. They were absolutely rolling, and Tua was rolling. And Goff, while not necessarily playing bad, wasn't exactly lighting up scoreboards of recent. And so I too would have benched Goff to play Tua because Tua also had a plus matchup, so you expected him to stay on that role, and he didn't. And it bit you. But it's the same with Andrew in our league. He played Tua over Kink Cousins, which I would have never in a million years played Kink Cousins over Tua.
Yeah,
but he was like, "Man, I should have played Tua. I should have played Kink over Tua." And I'm like, absolutely nobody would have done that. So I never look at my bench when someone outscores somebody that's obvious and go, "Man, if I'd only played Coker over Jefferson, or something like that," because there's 0% chance anyone ever is going to make that decision.
Yeah.
But these are decisions, again, playing Rush over Daniels, I'm actually considering it.
Yeah.
Because of matchup.
You've seen the brighter side.
I've seen Daniels not have a good week, but again, I think what you said is very important. I would much rather lose with Daniels than lose with Rush. I can live with that.
That's what my thing is. It's like if I put Rush out there and he doesn't do what I think he might, then I will be upset.
The only way I won't be upset is if I put Rush out there and he sucks, but Daniels sucks worse on my bench.
And even then, he still has to suck worse. Like
he has
if
to.
He sucks the same.
Oh my God, dude! You don't even know how much. Every time James Cook did something good, I was so angry at James. Like I was actively wishing that James Cook would fumble every time he touched the ball, just to make my sincere McCormick pick sound sensible. Anyway, the next two quarterbacks are. I'll run through them real quick. Tua Tagovailoa. And Geno Smith. Now, this is if he's healthy, obviously, and we're definitely not playing Sam Howell. But I would play Rush, Rodgers, or May over both of those guys for this week. We don't really need to talk about matchups with them. I just don't trust it, and I trust them more. Rush, I would definitely play over both of them. May would be the only one I would question. Again, we just talked about his upside, whatever. Rico Dowdle this week. I know he's coming off 2 great weeks, but if you look at who he's playing and what's going on, let me find it here because I want to make sure I give the stats. They're playing Tampa, and you think, Tampa's a plus matchup
for passing.
Yeah.
They're pretty tough against the run. Not like super tough, but they're pretty tough against the run.
They're super tough, homie. If we go here and we find the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the reason they're here now is because this is when they weren't tough, but for some reason in the last 3 games against Carolina, they only gave up 7.9. To Vegas, they gave up 10.2, and to the Chargers 5.5. Now I get it. Well, outside of Carolina, those matchups aren't great.
They don't have any running backs,
right?
And even Carolina,
but even against the Giants, it was 16.6, so it wasn't great. And then if you go back to San Francisco, it was 14.2, and so then that was before the bye in Week 10. And so I'm just saying, play Dowdle if you want to, but if Ford's out there, I'm playing Ford over Dowdle.
Yeah.
So, again, these are my worries, not my don'ts.
Yeah.
I mean, if I got here with Dowdle and I don't have any, I'm not going to go play like Jalen Warren. or anything like that. It's going to have to be somebody. If I can get Ford off waivers, then I play Ford over Dowdle. And then Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft should have a good matchup this week.
So let's say that they rule. What's his name? God bless.
Running back or tight ends?
Running back.
Okay.
They're ruling out
Kamara.
Would
I play?
Would you play Kendra Miller
in that
over
matchup?
Dowdle?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm just trying to see.
Absolutely.
Like, feel where that's at.
Who's New Orleans playing again? Just so I make sure.
They're playing Green Bay.
Yeah. So
which
in
is
that
a pretty close matchup.
In that matchup, I would absolutely play. I would play Kendra Miller over Dowdle this week, and that may sound dumb, but I think Kendra Miller. I think in that game they're not playing for anything. Number one. And if you get a game where it's Kendra Miller all day, well, he's the future of that team, or he's not.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's time to figure it out.
They're going to figure it out, yeah. Even if they have to pass the ball, they're going to involve more in the pass game because they lean on the running back for that dump off. I mean, because we've seen since, I don't even know, even since Taysom Hill's been there in a tight end, they haven't had a tight end that's been that kind of dump off that a lot of these teams kind of lean on. You know what I mean? Like that Kelsey or – even Evan Ingram, a lot of these guys that.
And Green Bay has been bleeding points in those last 5 weeks, except for when they played San Francisco. They bled points in Chicago, Miami, Detroit, and then Seattle with Charbonnet. They didn't necessarily, quote, bleed points, but they gave up a good game
to
to
throw
Charbonnet.
the ball the whole time. And by the time they had to throw the ball, it was Drew Lock out there. Or not Drew Lock, Sam Howell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was garbage can quarterback out there. So,
I would definitely, I would play, if Kamara's out, I would play
Kamara's out,
Kendra
Miller.
And then last is Tucker Kraft. It's talking about Green Bay. I would play Benton Strange over Kraft. Green Bay's playing.
We just talked about him.
Right here. Green Bay is playing the Saints. Yep. The last 2 weeks, the Saints have played the Giants and Washington, and they've held their – now, again, Ertz got hurt. Yeah. So, I mean, the Saints have been not great against tight ends all season, but Kraft hasn't been – they haven't really been targeting him. I don't really trust it, and I know Benton Strange is going to probably get 8 targets. That's why I feel good about it. I will say this. Kraft is your upside play. Kraft can get touchdowns. I don't think Strange is going to get any fucking touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so if you need upside at any position and you're like, well, I want to try to get here at the tight end, then you play Kraft. But if you just need stability, you play Strange.
Yeah. In a playoff, if you're the way underdog, put somebody out there that might get you touchdowns.
You got to get touchdowns.
You need to get the points.
All right. Well, from there, let's hit on the smashes. And so I think that's the kaboom. There it is.
Kaboom! I wish they would put it all.
Oh no, I know what it was. It's the song.
Oh yeah, no,
can't be something.
No, not that one. I'm gonna play this one anyways.
Let's go. Okay,
that works. Yeah, that works.
All right, my QB smash of the week. He's gonna bounce back and he's in a really good matchup, I think, and that's Bo Nix at the Chargers. You got a divisional game. And I think that he's going. Bo Nix and his coaching staff with Sean Payton. They're going to look at what he did, and they're going to correct it. And then Bo Nix is going to get back on the horse.
Nice.
So,
I went with the stretch of a quarterback smash too. I went with Kyler Murray against Carolina this week.
Well, it's because it's Carolina.
Well, and because it's Kyler Murray, I don't know. We've seen flashes of Kyler Murray be a good fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, we've seen flashes of him being a great.
And I think this year has been like we were all
Not this
super.
Year,
no, I'm just saying this year we were all super stoked. He was going so late. Like the experts knew something we didn't see.
He was like the pick of the draft.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody was like super stoked about it and all this stuff. And I think that we've had a couple weeks this year where it's been like, okay, I see where what we saw.
Yeah.
But I also see all these other weeks where the experts were right. But I think this is where Kyler comes back and kind of lets us know.
Yeah.
It's second week in playoffs. He's going to come out there and he's going to blow things out of the water.
And they're still fighting for a playoff spot.
They need it. Carolina's kind of in that waiting in the wade pool kind of deal where, and I think that it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a pretty bad game.
All right. Well,
no offense to Carolina.
No, I need them to lose. I want the draft pick, homie.
Yeah. And then here's another one I'm playing by heart. And I have this guy nowhere. So this is not me trying to will good points and everything, but I think Pacheco is going to have a big week this week.
Oh, no.
I do.
Oh, no.
Playing against the Texans.
Yeah, you went on the Pacheco. See, I did that last week. And
Yeah.
It didn't pay off.
I think
I thought
you had Brian Robinson last week.
Yeah, I thought I had Pacheco. I was mad. He was on my fuck that guy.
He was,
and I was talking him up. I thought that he was getting ready to get back on the horse.
Well, so it was like him, Kareem Hunt, and P. Ryan all scored similar points this last week. They all got similar usage.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I don't know what that was, but anyways, I think this is the week where we don't know. I know they said
almost got jizz.
More than likely. It's regurgitated, but
just dried in the back of the throat.
We know that Patrick Mahomes did get injured. We saw him limp off the field. They say he practiced full, but I don't know how to really trust this. But I think that Pacheco's going to get a lot more usage this next game.
I hope so, and maybe because of Mahomes' injuries.
And they're playing against the Texans, and I just think it's going to be a good week to kind of come up for that. And they need this if they're trying to get that bye, if they want that first round bye. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like this is going to be one of those weeks where they're like, oh fuck, there's Pacheco.
Okay,
and it's just going to come. It's going to come to fruition.
I think it's going to happen at some point. So this could.
It's got to happen. The other shoe's got to drop. It's going to happen.
All right, my running back smash of the week is Jerome Ford at Cincinnati. Cincinnati gives up 1.5 billion points
to any position on the field. Period.
Yes,
no matter who it is.
And Jerome Ford is involved in both the running and the passing game. So I think that.
That's true.
And I don't know if they're going to change it, but he's also involved in the kicking game. So there's potential for points there if he does.
Well,
stay in that
and the
position.
tackle game too. If Jameis Winston is a quarterback,
or DTR, who will throw a pick,
he'll
as well.
throw a couple picks too. Yeah, so he could have a couple solo tackles this game too.
So if you play in an IDP league, you can be getting points on all sides.
Just saying, just want to point that out.
But Jerome Ford against Cincinnati, I think is going to have a really good week, and then. I'm going to get in. I'm going to get in on this. Jalen McMillian, or McMillions, as I like to call him.
Yeah.
With Tampa playing at Dallas, I think that Mike Evans is the focus of that offense. I think they want to get him his 1,000-yard season, but I also think that.
Yep. Bring that up.
Okay, we'll talk about that in 2 seconds. We'll talk about after we get done with the smash.
Yep.
So McMillians, I think he's going to stay in the fire. He has become the number 2 receiver on that team, and I think they're really trying to see what they got there, and it looks like what they got is pretty good. So I think he's going to have another. I'm going to try to stay in the fire. Hopefully, he gets another touchdown this week.
Hey, I like it.
All right, who's your wide receiver and tight end?
So my wide receiver smash this week is against Atlanta.
Okay,
Malik Neighbors.
Oh yeah, well, if Boyle plays, you're going to be pretty good with that.
I don't really care who the quarterback is because this guy's getting 12 to 13 targets every single game they play him. And he's coming down with most of them. I mean, it's like 18 targets week 2, 12, 15, 8, 13, 11, 10, 9, 13, 10, and 14. Yeah. This guy just gets thrown to the whole fucking game.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of other options. So I just feel like they're playing against Atlanta. Atlanta's kind of dwindling, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
And we're going to talk about Atlanta
there.
here in a second.
I feel like this is going to be a game where he's going to get fed, and it's going to be muy bueno. It's going to be so great. He's going to get you 25 points this week, and he might not even score a touchdown. I think it's going to be 25 points on catches alone. So,
all right, and who's the tight end?
Benton Strange. He was my.
Like he was
definitely my. He was a Baker's bottom. He's barely owned, but Mac Jones loves this dude. Mac Jones loves to be able to throw to people he can throw to that can catch the ball.
Yeah, well, he likes to throw to anybody who's wide open 5 yards from line of scrimmage.
And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So, I mean, Benton Strange, he had a big week this last week, and I think it continues. They're playing Las Vegas. I mean, come on. Everybody's going to catch a ball against Las Vegas. So,
all right. And then I think it's time. It's getting to the time that he needs to get his shit together, and that's Travis Kelce. I know that they like to
I almost put him on Baker's bottoms, by the way.
they like to hold back and wait till it's getting time. They got to get that. They're trying to keep that first round bye. And with his dude out there hurting, he's gonna be depended upon to get them passes and over the middle, and he's gonna, I think Mahomes is gonna lean on him to get some first downs and whatnot. So I'm going with Travis Kelce versus Houston as my tight end smash. And now we're going to talk about some breaking news. Well, it didn't start over. There we go.
It picked up where we left off. Man, breaking news. You heard it here first.
Kirk Cousins has been benched for Michael Penix. So discount everything I thought I knew. But they have made the decision. And so Raheem Morris put his balls on the table. And in doing so, he has said, we're going to roll with the rookie to see if he can ignite a fire in this offense. Apparently he's been looking really good in practice. So here it is. They're, $200 and something million quarterback is going to go sit on the bench. And the rookie that everyone laughed at them, including us, for drafting is going to get a start. So,
hell yeah.
So we're going to see how that goes. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I'm intrigued. I just want to see. I like, I don't like watch a lot of college, and I don't know a lot. I kind of see highlights and see stuff here and there. I just want to see what they see, and I think if they're competent enough in putting him out there on their terms, they're like, hey, we're starting this guy.
Yeah,
then there's got to be something to see there, and I want to see what they see. So
here's the thing.
I would like.
I can tell you what they see. They watched Kirk Cousins play against the Raiders.
Oh yeah,
that's what they're seeing, bro. And they saw him play the previous month before the Raiders.
The last 5 games. Yeah.
So they've seen the last 5 games of Kirk Cousins and his noodle arm and his immobility, and they're like, even if we make the playoffs, we're not going to do anything with this this old busted guy.
Try something.
So let's get the young guy out there, and it's like I said. They're talking about how good he looks in practice, but if you're comparing him to what you're seeing when you're watching Kirk Cousins' old busted ass out there, then so I don't know. I think I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. We're gonna see if he's worth that number 8 pick.
Well,
so.
I'll say this: this is what the second first-round pick quarterback they've gotten in the last 2 years. Didn't they draft Ritter in the first round last year?
No, God, no. He was not a first round. Ritter was like a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Was he that late?
Absolutely.
Oh, I know he's garbage, but
yes,
I just feel like that's the second quarterback he's drafted in 2 years.
They would have fired.
For some reason, I was thinking it's like a second or
no. God, no. There's no way he was a. I don't know exactly when, but I know he wasn't a first round, and I'm pretty sure he was a 4th round.
That's it's probably right. I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff, but. I just feel like they went after 2 quarterbacks in the last 2 years, and I thought they moved up or did something drastic to get Ritter last year, and it was kind of what is going on here?
I'm trying to
3rd round.
Okay, so he's a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, they moved up to grab him in the 3rd round, but I just I want to see what they see, and I hope that I understand anything they could play at this point is going to be better than Kirk Cousins. I understand that,
yes.
But I want to see what they see that they went to go grab this guy early in the first, to put him on the team after they just paid bajillions of dollars, for this other guy.
I can.
You know what I'm saying? I would like to see how this actually comes out. Like if he comes out here and just balls, I'll be like, y'all know what's going on.
Yeah.
But if he comes out here and looks like Kirk Cousins but a little bit better, I'm gonna be like, well, maybe y'all haven't figured it all out yet. But either way,
the only thing I'm concerned about now is what does this mean for the receiving options? I mean, it's not like Darnell Mooney had a fat goose, and if it wasn't for the 30-yard touchdown, Drake London would have had a shit week. It's not like that. It's not like it was great, grand, and awesome with Cousins out there.
Yeah, that's true.
I just don't. I think Drake London. I think it'll probably be good. Because he's more of a possession type receiver, but Mooney's more of that downfield kind of guy. So I don't know.
So it's probably going to benefit. It's definitely going to benefit Bijan, not going to hurt him.
It's not going to hurt Bijan anyway. I don't think.
So you kind of look at a little bit of a benefit towards Drake, a little bit of a.
I think it's a wash. With Drake.
What about?
I think it hurts Mooney. I think Ray is that's the wild card because I'm sure. Ray is the number 1 receiver for second team, and so they probably have a chemistry together.
Something a little read.
So if Ray's on the field, he's probably going to target what he knows, because like a lot of those when the backups come in.
It's funny because I was listening to an interview of one of the receivers, and it's like crazy to have 2 quarterbacks to have throw to you, like when you're a second receiver. And it's like they each throw different. They throw harder. The spiral's different. The position is different. The read's different. Like, the look in their eyes, like you're reading your quarterback. You want to know where you go. You run your route, but sometimes timing's different.
Yeah,
like one 100%. Releases quicker. One
one throws harder. One whatever. So,
constantly learning on. You have these backup quarterbacks come in, or these second string, or third string with some of the teams. I
can tell you, Cousins is a timing receiver. That's what he's a pocket. He's a timing. He'll throw the ball before you turn around. When he's on, it's all about that timing.
It's in your hand and you don't even realize it. But
and so I don't know if Penix is going to be like Caleb Williams, who's going to hold the ball for 4 hours, run around, make 6 guys miss, cause his receivers to all have to go into a scramble drill
to try to pull out and get away,
and then start playing some backyard ball. Or if it's going to be a mix. Like, I'm not saying that Penix is going to be Mahomes, but Mahomes is a mix of a timing pocket passer who can play that game, who can also play some backyard ball where he can get outside the pocket and start creating things. So
I feel like that's where Drake May's kind of going this year a little bit, like trying to get out. I think.
Well, when your O line's absolute doo-doo trash asshole,
you kind of have to do something. Yeah.
And so I think Atlanta's got a little bit better of an offensive line. So we're going to see what Penix can do, and that's also for Caleb. Caleb's O line is garbage can.
Yeah,
and
true.
So so if Penix can trust his O line, he can trust the system. And he can step up in the pocket because he was a pocket passer in college. He has the athletic ability to scramble, but he never really was a scrambler. But the other side of the coin is this, and I talked about this before the season started. He's a left-handed quarterback.
Yeah.
And so everything is different now.
Shifts,
the right tackle becomes the left tackle, and so everything changes. You hand the ball off on the different side now, so you got the whole
your timing and position and everything for the running back and all. Yeah.
He has not been getting any first team reps.
Yeah.
So this could have, I don't.
They may start now. They may have already started.
They're definitely going to have to.
If they've already announced it, they're already starting.
And that's why they announced it because this is one of those things. You may think, it's just he throws the other hand. No, it changes the complete everything of that offensive line and how it's composed and their protection schemes, and then it also changes how the running backs react and what side you run the read options and what size you run your pitches, and all these things. So everything is going to change in a reverse manner, and that's what I had talked about at the beginning of the season, that you weren't doing a 1-for-1 kind of deal when you got Penix. You were drafting the complete opposite of what Cousins was. And so when he came in, you couldn't just stick with what you had. You have to completely revamp this whole offense.
Yeah, you got to rewrite it all.
Yeah, you have
to.
Yeah, so everything's going to change. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. But, it is what it is. I think when you talk about offensive line, first, second team, I think for the most part, hopefully – those offensive linemen have worked with Penix in practice enough that they have already got an idea of the schemes.
They've adapted to what's going on. Yeah, they can figure it out. Yeah,
but there it is.
It should be interesting.
So we got some breaking news, some big breaking news there at the end of the podcast.
Definitely.
I hope you guys have a good week out there. We're gonna do the DFS at the end of the week. I do want to talk about next week. So next week is Christmas. Christmas on a Wednesday. I'm going to be out of town at the Monday and Tuesday, but I will put out a waiver show for the 3 or 4 of you that give a shit. Either Monday evening, or if I don't do it Monday evening, I will try to do it early Tuesday so that at least it's out in time if you give a shit about what I say. And it'll be kind of like what I did last night, maybe at 10-minute at most, depending on what kind of news it is. But we will be back next Thursday to do kind of what we're doing now, an all-in-one episode as we get ready for championship week. So Christmas being in the middle of the week is kind of messing up the schedule. But and then, I'm not going to make any promises on DFS next week. So it just depends on how the week plays out and all that. Maybe we do a little bit of DFS with the main show, just to throw it out there.
Or, realistically, if we get together tomorrow, we talk about what happened. We can set this week up and kind of talk about the week following. I mean, we can look at matchups and see what we would potentially set up for our lineups if we wanted to.
Absolutely not going to try to figure out next week's
great.
DFS.
It will be great.
No, sir.
We do a week and a half in advance. It'd be like our Christmas present. And we could just set it up.
Look, it's already hard enough to make predictions when it's in the week that the game's
when it's 3 days before everything's going to start.
But tomorrow's darts, so it'll be Thursday or Friday.
Oh, that's what I meant. Friday. No, that's 2 Fridays on the same day. Yeah,
Friday sounds delicious.
I'm now hungry, and we'll be ordering food. So.
But anyway, y'all have a good one out there. Hope that your playoffs all worked out, and we will talk to you some next time that we talk to you.
Later.
Holla.